Hi, welcome to the Conservation Board meeting for the Town of Victor, April 1st. We'll call the meeting to order at 6:37. Along with me tonight, Mr. Norman and Mr. Phillips. Thank you for joining. We'll kick off with our first project to be reviewed, which is 364 Fisher Road. It's the Bell Minor subdivision. The applicant is requesting approval to subdivide a 6.395 acre parcel into two lots. Lot 1 consists of the existing house in a 3.233 acres, and Lot 2 is proposing to construct a new single-family house on a 3.162 acre lot. Presented here is obviously the sketch. I took a look at this and obviously want to open up the board, but seems to be a pretty straightforward split here. I did notice there's some wetlands in that kind of northwest corner. The setbacks seem to be appropriate. Kind of a pitch there towards the middle of that slice of the parcel right now, but nothing really stuck out to me, but open up to the board for discussion. Yeah, there's one.
This is a limited development district, I think.
Yeah.
Most Fishers
I
is.
think so.
Close to it, and so they would require 50% conservation easement for a minor. Is that?
My understanding, yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. I think that sounds
Yes. What's
Which I haven't seen the property, but I would suspect would be better positioned towards the creek.
Yeah,
Side.
yeah, I imagine if this is oriented north-south, the west side of the property would need to be the easement. Which that's where the more environmentally sensitive area is, right? Slopes are.
Yeah. I'd be curious to, I mean, obviously this is just splitting up the parcel, but curious to know where they would consider building a home, but I would suspect it would be on the east side. So they want the existing either.
Yeah, I don't know that they have much option as far as the lot lines here, where the existing house is. Looks, the existing house is on septic. I don't know if Fisher's Road has sewer. So what, we just acknowledging. Oh, no,
Yeah.
requesting. So I mean, in terms of the subdivision, you know, kind of is what it is at the moment. Before any building would be done, they'd have to come back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess we can acknowledge it. Definitely gonna have to see some more detail, right, on the conservation easements. Right, and yeah,
It's really, yeah, I would say if they're going to build, it would be prudent to walk it. Take very long, but maybe we don't actually need to do that.
what am I looking at here? This is the original. Oh, it's splitting. No, there.
Yeah, so here's the. Well, I think almost looks like they have it oriented the opposite way. Is this the existing house, right? Or no, that's existing.
Yeah,
house.
it's south.
Okay, all right, yeah.
It's flooding right here. Or jagged.
Yeah, I guess maybe clarify which
Yeah, what are we,
site plan is.
what's that one, David?
March of
A.
25. Well, that's received, but I think this guy down here, this one looks like a more recent March.
Oh, yeah,
It must be
that's
the
true.
chopped it up.
Yeah, so they're coming down. And this is some, yeah, okay, I see. This
Or
is-
it's just zoomed in,
Yeah,
yeah. So I guess, in terms of the subdivision, I have no major concerns, obviously, before any building would occur. You'd have to come back before the board and we can address, any issues at that time with conservation easements and so forth.
right. Yeah, I'm just looking at a street view. I mean, it looks fairly,
Oh,
it's 364 right there. Got it. So it's north of that. The trees,
these guys.
yeah, I think that's the trees there.
So is it? I like. So the creek runs back here, yeah.
Yeah.
It is pretty, um. Pretty steep
Gonna
going
create.
back, yeah,
Makes sense.
but at least. This is mostly lawn. I'm thinking of the right one.
Yeah, looks like it. There's your. That's the existing house right there.
Yeah,
Each field's probably somewhere here. But yeah, that's all lawn right there. Then, yeah, I guess I would, when they create the conservation easement. It's not that big of an extra, yeah,
Pretty much, right?
yeah,
So. They'd obviously have to do so for both parcels. Right,
yeah,
yeah,
not split more on the one. Just over an acre and a half on each. Okay. All right, our comments would be, if there's any additional applications forthcoming to obviously review those, but. Read and approve. Subdividing these two lots. Make a recommendation that a conservation easement. In the western side of the property, unless there's any other outstanding. Positions where it shouldn't be. Additional commentary?
no, sounds
All
good.
right, great. Good to move on. All right, our second piece this evening is to assist with some interpretation of easement language with regard to a recent complaint on an easement that came up. I'll just read the language here, so. Move on. Code enforcement recently received a complaint regarding a hunting tree stand installed within a conservation easement. The conservation easement language does not specifically prohibit tree stands or hunting. Code enforcement is requesting an interpretation from the conservation board to determine hunting and or tree stands are compliant with the conservation easement restrictions listed below. First piece is the grantor covenants that the grantee shall quietly enjoy this easement and will forever warrant title to the same. The question, opposed, would hunting be considered quietly enjoying the easement? The third piece, second, all lands within the easement shall remain in their natural condition and undisturbed except as described below. Question being, would hunting an animal be considered natural condition and undisturbed? And then lastly, there shall be no storage within or upon any portion of the easement area, including but not limited to the storage of vehicles, trailers, equipment, tools, supplies, tanks, barrels, or other containers. Last question being, would a tree stand be considered equipment or tools? A lot to unpack there, but I think we'll start with we've reviewed the easement language. Norman, you have a comment on that?
Sure. So for the property in question, a couple of the items are noted, quiet enjoyment, natural condition. To me, the more relevant language would be the equipment or tools, which are not allowed in the conservation easement, but also per section 8 of the easement, there shall be no structures included but not limited to roadways, buildings, pools, or other structures, whether permanent or temporary, constructed or placed within or on any portion of the easement area with the exception of underground or other fencing. So to me, the tree stand, whether you consider it equipment or a temporary structure, would not be allowed in the easement.
You probably can't leave it there overnight. I think you could probably use it as long as it's not permanently affixed to the tree. Like they make the ones that,
Yeah,
like the climber ones that you can take them out.
carry in, carry out.
Carry
Yeah.
in, carry out, exactly. But you can't take one of those ones and leave it there for a whole season. That's how I would, I'm just thinking it through now. That's probably how I would look at it, interpret that.
Yeah, I agree.
It sounds like this particular instance, zoning tree stand installed within the easement. Sounds like as of now,
Yeah,
would
it's
obviously
there.
not be the permissible within the language within that easement.
Yeah.
Pretty straightforward, I guess.
I agree. I'm just looking through the letter from Adam. So I guess he's requesting interpretation if hunting and or tree stands are compliant within the conservation easement. I think what we're stating is that the permanent or temporary tree stand would not be compliant. If it's something that is, carried in and carried out that day,
Mhm.
would probably be allowed for the easement. Right.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think the first two items. Hunting. So wildlife. General are. There's a number of laws, state laws, federal laws, even that govern that. That I don't think we would defer to that. At least I would anyways. Especially number 3, number 1. Quietly enjoying this is lacking objectiveness there. What's quietly
Yeah, I agree. I don't know that, there's enough for us to say it's prohibited. Um, it's just open to interpretation. Obviously, there's state and federal rules govern where you can hunt and where not.
Right. How much you can, what
Yeah.
you can legally, what you can legally hunt, when you can legally hunt.
Yeah. I think hunting an animal be considered natural condition and undisturbed. I mean, I guess I always envision the easement to be the ground and plant, and I guess wildlife is a component of that, but I wasn't reading hunting as necessarily disturbing the natural condition.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I would agree there.
So at this point, it's not expressly permitted or prohibited. Therefore, we're just gonna comment on the temporary or permanent stand component.
Yeah.
Deem it to be if to carry in, carry out.
right, but an
Seems appropriate.
installed tree stand would need to be removed.
Or out of compliance.
Yeah, I think that would be our comment.
Fair enough.
Any comments from the public?
I spoke before, but if you're walking in this area, a shot went off, it would startle you. That's not a natural condition. And I think there are lots of things here that you could probably interpret and say, go ahead, or you can be hard and say, no, you can't do it. It's just, it's really open for, as you say, for interpretation, a lot of it. And if you're walking and you see a guy up in the tree with a gun, that's not exactly keeping everything natural.
Yeah, I think one thing that we would be mindful of is the state regulations typically prohibit the firearms within town. Within, I guess, mostly of our peer review, I would say, with regard to at least easements. So for example, on this particular lot that we just reviewed, these two different parcels would be owned by, assuming two different parties. They have an easement. They own the property. I would hope for nobody else to be walking on the
Right.
property. I think we have to be just mindful of there are, to your point, some easements where allow that, kind of public walkthrough, but others don't. So we have to be careful of what we're almost telling folks in this circumstance, can't do that on your land, even though it is yours. So we just have to toe this line. But it is a good comment. Any others?
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, there's like, when it comes to firearms, really any hunting. Quote me on this 100%. I know for firearms, for instance, you have to be 500 feet from a
Property line.
from a house, property,
Yeah.
dwelling, and that could be a road as well. So there's particular laws that govern that part of it. And I want to say it's for any kind of, say, firearm. It could be a bow and arrow, it could be a crossbow. Don't quote me on that. I am not going to record officially, but I know that there are specific laws out there. So yeah.
So we would defer to those.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
To the
Definitely.
nice charge.
I guess maybe, where I'd be worried is if it's behavior or conduct that we're trying to enforce via the easement, so a loud noise, whose interpretation of if it's, allowed or not, and so trying to remove the human element out of it, which is subject to interpretation, and just kind of the physical elements of, hey, you can't cut down the trees, you can't put a structure in there. And leave the humans,
Yeah,
out of it.
good way to
It's
put it,
reinforced.
actually. Yeah,
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah. Okay. Good discussion. We'll move on to other business approval of March 18th, 2025 minutes. Two of the present board members were not at that meeting. Andrew, you were.
Yeah, they look good.
Any
I
comments?
agree with them.
Yeah, nothing to add, but I can't prove, so we have to table it, I think, till next meeting.
Excellent. Any notes from that last meeting that would be helpful for us to know outside of those?
No, it was the Chick-fil-A. I mean, he put together a fairly comprehensive package. I mean, you guys have both driven by there probably thousands of times. So, I thought it was pretty well thought out. I think there was a couple comments, but nothing, that I could really see. I think the big thing is gonna be traffic, not in our purview. I know, David, you mentioned that, but and that's top of my mind, obviously, is how they can deal with traffic, because it gets a little busy, yeah. So, especially holidays and all that, but yeah, I think that was really the big walkaway point there. Other than that, conservation wise, they had a good plan.
Great. Thanks, Andy. Right, unless there's any other business or comments or discussion, I have a motion to adjourn.
A motion.
Motion
I'll
by
second
Mr. Phillips, Mr. Norman seconds, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
No abstentions. Conclude at 6:59.